So, in order to quickly realize that there was a gap between no, it's I'll let you get it. I can see talk about it. If I don't say all these things, I won't get a raise. Realize that there's a gap between professional service and technical results. This realization would spark entrepreneurial spirit and lead to him to open the Calysto Group with his friend and partner Jeff Arwady in August of 2019. They have been bridging their gap ever since, and Steve leads the company with purpose, direction, and motivation. And by far, one of his greatest contributions to the Calysto Group was the hiring of Steve Anderson. Oh no, I'm sorry. I just kept reading. I thought it was there.
Next slide. That's good, Steve.
Thank you.
So my goal today is to have Steve try to remove me from the stage. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Very excited to come talk about a topic that's very near and dear. Cybersecurity is the thing, right? Everybody wants your stuff. So, hacker, that's a fun term. It evokes imagery probably of, if you're like me, late 1980s movies. Somebody punched over a laptop in the dark where you can read the green screen of code in their glasses. But that's really not how it works. So what is a hacker? A hacker is somebody that really, for one reason or another, wants to get your stuff and play with it or do something malicious with it. So today we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to break down hacking just a little bit. We're going to talk about how hackers think, because hopefully by understanding how they think, we can be more prepared for how to deal with them. You can't get a retired Army officer at a podium and not quote Sun Tzu, but I'm not going to do it. So we know we have to know our enemy. So getting to know that the hacker is the first step in doing that. So first and foremost, hackers think in the language of computers and in the language of technology, which is code, right? They're analytical, they're compulsive, they're curious, creative, and tenacious, if I'm reading my slides correctly. But what does that mean? They have time, and they have resources, and they have what you want, and they're going to find ways to get it. One of the interesting taglines in cybersecurity is it's not if, it's when. With these characteristics, they can get to it if you don't have layered protections in place, if we're not doing the things proactively to prevent this from happening. So why do they want to hack you? These are statistics. 51% of them want to do it for fun or the thrill of doing it. 29% moral compass. They don't like how your company runs, so they want to change things. Only 19% of it reportedly do it for financial gain, and 1% is notoriety. Now, I do not have a degree in mathematics, but I know that only adds up to 99%. So those of you that are counting, thank you. So no matter what they're doing it for, the result is the same. Okay? They're applying their knowledge, their resources, their tactics to get into your systems. Whether it's a hack, a breach, or any of the other 30 changing terms that we like to use in the industry to keep them on their toes, they're doing it. They're going to do what they do, the way they do it, when they want to do it. Unless, again, we're putting these layered defenses in place. Why is it so hard, and why does it cost so much money? So Bernadette did a great job of explaining the difference between an IT department, an IT company, an IT service versus cybersecurity. Very different, right? We ride the same line, we talk the same lingo, we go to the same clubs, we drink the same beer. It's a very different mentality. It's hard because of how many ways you can be attacked. Bernadette mentioned printers, and I love that one. We use that too. I usually talk about VoIP phones. That phone that's sitting on your desk is a full-blown computer. It's usually running some version of Linux or an Android operating system. It's plugged into your network. Your applications, your network itself, your endpoints, the cloud, people, vendors. I know we got a couple of cloud providers in the room today, and that's amazing. If they're in this room, it means they're thinking about security, right? They're already doing the right things. They're working with the right people. They're doing what they can to secure things. Cloud's wonderful, but it also results in adding to distributed data. right? So when your data is in the cloud and potentially on your laptop, and potentially on that floppy disk that I saw Steve carrying around, data's out there. We need to make sure that it's protected, that it's safe, that it's accounted for, that we know who has access to what, when, where, and how, so that when you walked into your office 20 minutes ago and popped up in Russia 20 minutes later, that the right people are looking at the right things. It's expensive because it's hard, guys. This stuff's not easy because it's ever evolving, it's ever changing. Who here has heard of zero-day attacks or zero-day threats? That stuff is real, my friends. You gotta be on your toes. So it's expensive because there's a lot of process to follow. There's a lot of people that need to be involved. There's a lot of things that go into keeping you and your data safe. There's not enough good guys in quotes, because I call good guys ethical hackers. So if you work in cybersecurity long enough, I did this for the Department of Defense for 18 years, one of our biggest assets were ethical hackers, the white hat guys. We don't have enough of those. So when you're looking at your systems and your networks and your data, and you're thinking like a hacker, and you're saying, how can I protect my data? How can I keep my business from going under because somebody wanted 51% of the thrill? Think like they do. Ethical hacking it's very important in the industry, and the right companies are taking advantage of that, right? Fortune 500 companies, they're hiring hackers, the ethical guys, to come in and secure their systems and say, hey, how would you get in? Let's make sure that that doesn't happen. But as I said, there are many layers involved. Okay, so we call this security in depth. There are a lot of vectors, there are a lot of bad actors, there's a lot of other cliche words and terms, but at the end of the day, if you've got a computer, whether it's a desktop, a laptop, a server, a phone, my refrigerator has a little touch panel on the front, I'm pretty sure they could get in that way. We've got to be securing them. VPNs, as we've identified, that's not the silver bullet that everybody likes to think it is. It is certainly a part of your strategy. So is a good firewall. So is a good proactive management, maintenance, and support. Somebody that's in there and looking at this stuff actively. Noah, you ever seen the ballistic missile thing coming in from Russia? The ping that says, hey, let's lock this down. Those are the sorts of things that you have to be paying attention to make sure that your data is safe. So how do you budget for it if it's so hard and expensive? So we're all small business owners in here. I don't think anybody's got the multi-million-dollar budgets in this room. So let's talk about the 80-20. You get 80% of your results by investing 20%. So if you're on a shoestring budget, you're just dipping your toes into the waters of cybersecurity, you're just hearing somehow for the first time this stuff's real, and that it's serious, and that it can be very impactful, focus on what's going to get you the most results immediately, right? So make sure that you've got good firewall, that you've got patches and security maintenance being done. Partner with a vendor. As a small business, that's the #1 thing that you can do, okay? You can throw an IT department at it, but as we all identified already, the IT department is not necessarily equipped for this. Okay? I've met a lot of internal IT departments that were there to replace keyboards when Steve spilled coffee on them, or to make sure that your antivirus did get updated, right? Windows got updated, you know, the basics, the help desk. My printer can't print, my email won't mail. It's all very important stuff, okay? But if you don't have the people on the team that have the experience and that have the passion and the drive to really chase down these security holes, you're missing a very important piece. So partner with a vendor that is aligned with your business and can help you with that. So you're a little bit bigger than that. You can afford the nice firewall. You can afford the security as a service provider. Working with a managed services provider or your internal IT team to coordinate those efforts, but you want to do more. What else can you do? What's the next step when the budget allows for it? We want to invest in more advanced strategies. Okay, so we want to be doing things, you know, working on training, in-house awareness is huge. One of the biggest threat vectors in any business. It's not on the other side of the door, it's inside that business. Internal threats whether they're malicious or not. A lot of times it's ignorance. A lot of times, they're just happily clicking on links that come in emails that don't have big red banners on them. Sorry, no. So invest in these more advanced strategies. It's still working with partners. It's still bringing in the right resources. Get yourself a security expert. Get yourself a team that's committed to making sure that you're doing the right things, that you're protected. Somebody once asked me, what's the only way to really know that I'm safe? You go in your network closet, you find the cable that goes from the internet router into your network switch, and you cut that cable. Cut that, you're pretty secure. Short of that, you need a lot of technology, you need a lot of human expertise. Somebody's got to be looking at this stuff. So yeah, it's great to apply artificial intelligence, machine learning, all the sophisticated hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tools, the six-figure salary guys that come in and sit down in the back and only work when the boss walks by and they want to see the code on their glasses. But you don't have to have the big budgets to be safe. Start thinking little steps. Okay, one of the most impactful things that we can do is multi-factor authentication. So if you don't have multi-factor authentication, get it. If you don't know what it is, talk to somebody in this room before you leave. Get it. Make sure that your email has multi-factor, at least at some point. Make sure that access to your servers, multi-factor. Make sure that working from home on the VPN, we want to make sure that we know who is getting access to what, when, where, and how. All right, so we know what hacking is, we know who hackers are, we know how they think, we know what we're doing. We're still going to get breached. So let's be prepared for it. How do we prepare for a breach? Incident response plan. If you're not forward thinking, if you're not planning and preparing for this, you are already behind the 8 ball. I don't play pool, but I'm told that it's not a favorable position. Work with your vendors. Work with your internal teams. Have a plan. Know what's important. Know what happens if you A, lose access to it, or B, somebody else gets access to it. Okay? This is not an exhaustive example here. Okay? I am speaking as, from an MSP perspective, from an IT and security as a service perspective. I'm going to touch on some things that the insurance company is going to want you to do, the lawyers are going to want you to do, but I'm not them. So make sure that you're getting with them, because they are the experts, and nobody is going to save your butt more than your IT company, your insurance agency, and your lawyer. Okay? So in the event of a breach, you should already have a plan. You should know who you're talking to about what, when. So hopefully your IT company is coming to you and saying, uh-oh, we've got a problem. Hopefully they already have some information. Hopefully they already understand at least part of what's going on. But they're gonna kick this off for you, okay? And you're gonna go down the checklist and you're gonna cover what was accessed, do we know who, do we know how? There's gonna be a lot of no's on that paper. It's very, very difficult to know all of the answers, but we wanna gather as much as we can, we wanna know as much as we can. Because when you contact your insurance agent, obviously you're working with a premier insurance agency, well-versed in cybersecurity. They've talked through the right plans and policies with you. You've got the right protection in place, right? So we already did that, we're good. So what are we talking to them about? Okay, so they need to know what happened, right? What sort of breach or hack or event did we have? They're going to walk you through all of the pieces that you need to know to make sure that you either get money back or keep money from being lost. Your lawyer's primary role in this, as I understand it, from my experience, is finding out who's at fault. As an MSP, they're usually looking at me, right? They're looking at the vendors, because vendors are a huge vector. That's why it's important to work with vendors that know what they're doing, and have the credentials, and have the tools, and have the experience to back it up. They're looking at the IT vendor, they're looking at the company itself. You were advised to replace this firewall a year ago, and you said you didn't have the budget for it and chose not to do it. Who's at fault? So your lawyer is going to help you to figure that out to find out if there's any course of action for you. Hopefully they're also going to help you to work with marketing because PR could be a disaster. Depending on what happened, depending on what information got out, depending on a lot of factors, you're going to want to have some PR to help you in this. Because the last thing anybody wants is to be on the front page of any newspaper. They still print those, Steve? You don't want to be on an e-zine or a blog either. You don't want to end up with your company's name attached to an incident. So you've got to have these response plans in place. You've got to have the right people on your team to help you to navigate these very difficult, ever-changing, ever-evolving landscape of cybersecurity. So if you take nothing else away from anything that I said in my short time up here, please make sure that you have a plan. Sit down with the appropriate people, develop an incident response plan. Cybersecurity is a CEO level thing. Okay? Your IT director, your MSP, whoever you have, they should be in the room, they should be heavily involved in that, but it needs to be a C-suite level engagement to make sure that you have a proper plan in place, that you're doing all of the right things. That's all I've got. The clock wasn't running, so I don't know how long I went. But Steve didn't try to remove it.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.